Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, April 27th. Coming to you live from Seoul, I'm Kim Mo-gyan. South Korea reported 512 new COVID-19 cases Tuesday, remaining in the 500s for the second straight day. However, there are concerns as the percentage of infections through individual contact with patients has hit almost 45%, the highest this year. India continues to set new global daily COVID-19 highs, over 350,000 on Monday. More countries are now banning flights from India, but support is also pouring in from around the world. And South Korea's central bank says the nation's economy expanded at a faster than expected pace of 1.8% on year in the first quarter. It was backed by a modest recovery in terms of exports and fiscal policy support. We begin with the latest on the coronavirus situation here in South Korea, as efforts continue to try to fend off what could become a fourth wave of the virus. The nation reported 512 new cases Tuesday, which is lower than last week's average. Of the new cases, 477 were local and 35 were from overseas. 3 more people have died of the virus, raising the death toll to 1,820. However, concerns have been raised as the percentage of people who've become infected through individual contact with COVID-19 patients rose to a yearly record high of 44.7%. On the vaccination front, a total of more than 2.4 million people have received their first dose of the vaccine as of this morning. The South Korean government now says the country can reach herd immunity against COVID-19 as soon as September, which would be 2 months earlier than originally anticipated. It's largely thanks to the deal the government signed over the weekend for another 40 million vaccine doses from Pfizer. Yunyeon has the story.
The South Korean government is reiterating that its inoculation drive will continue as planned despite the global vaccine shortage.
We make it clear that so far there haven't been any delays in the supplies we have secured from vaccine makers.
With a stable supply, the government is aiming to vaccinate 36 million people, 70% of the population, by September. If it does, that means the country can achieve herd immunity 2 months earlier than it initially planned. That's largely possible thanks to the vaccines the government has additionally secured. On Saturday, the Vaccine Task Force announced it'll be getting an additional 40 million Pfizer vaccine doses by September, enough to fully vaccinate 20 million people. During that time, more vaccines from Novavax, Moderna, and Janssen are also due to arrive, giving South Korea enough vaccines for 99 million people by the end of the year. That's twice the country's entire population and 3 times the 36 million people required to achieve herd immunity. In light of this, a senior health official said that at the moment, South Korea sees no need to consider other options like Russia's Sputnik V. In addition to supply issues, the government also cleared up lingering concerns about vaccine safety and efficacy.
According to the data, those over 75 years old showed 100% immunity against COVID-19 2 weeks after getting the AstraZeneca jab. The efficacy rate was 93.2% for those who received the Pfizer vaccine.
The government also said the vaccines have drastically brought down the number of fatalities and severe cases. And it aims to maximize those effects by expanding the vaccine drive to more people in the general public next month. Youn, Arirang News.
President Moon Jae-in has expressed confidence that South Korea's vaccination program will proceed as scheduled. Meeting his top aides on Monday, he said the country is on track to achieve herd immunity despite doubts raised by the slow speed of inoculations so far.
정부의 계획대로 4월 말까지 300만 명, 상반기 중으로 1,200만 명 또는 그 이상의 접종이 시행될지 여부는 조금만 지켜보면 알 수 있는 일입니다.
He said some countries are limiting vaccine exports or hoarding doses, but people in Korea need to pool their wisdom and build solidarity. The president said the government is keeping close tabs on the global situation in terms of supply, effectiveness, and safety. He added the ability of local firms to produce vaccines on consignment is a great help, and this capacity is expected to grow. On Tuesday at Cheongwade, the president will meet with the CEO of Novavax and discuss ways to boost production. The Biden administration will begin sharing its entire inventory of the AstraZeneca vaccines with the rest of the world as soon as they are approved by the U.S. drug regulator. And across the Atlantic, Germany aims to let anyone who wants to get the COVID-19 vaccine to do so by June. Our Kim Hyo-sun reports.
Washington says it will be sharing 60 million doses of AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine with other countries struggling to fight the pandemic.
The administration is looking at options to share American-made AstraZeneca vaccine doses during the next few months. Given the strong portfolio of vaccines that the United States has already authorized and available in large quantity, and that is available in large quantities, including two-dose vaccines and one-dose vaccine.
Although no details have been disclosed as to where the vaccines will be heading, the White House explained that it will begin shipping them out in the coming months after it carries out federal safety reviews. The U.S. had decided earlier last month to lend some 4 million AstraZeneca vaccines to Canada and Mexico, but this is the first time the country has indicated that it will be sharing such a large bulk with other countries around the world. The decision comes as some 42% of the total U.S. population have received at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine, with some 28% of them fully vaccinated, according to the U.S. CDC. Over in Germany, which is significantly behind with vaccinations compared to major countries like the U.S. and Britain, Chancellor Angela Merkel said Monday that the government will exert efforts to roll out vaccines to everyone by June.
And by and large, we assume that in priority group 3, the first vaccination can take place throughout May so that we can then, depending on how many vaccine doses we get, give up the prioritization from June at the latest.
She added people who have been fully immunized will be granted more freedom, such as being able to go shopping and visiting hairdressers. Germany is scheduled to receive 80 million doses from drug makers in the second quarter of the year. The country's inoculation campaign got off to a slow start in December, but it began to pick up speed significantly in recent weeks. Approximately 23% of its population had received at least one dose by Sunday, with about 7% receiving both shots. Kim Hyo-sun, Arirang News.
The European Union says it's suing AstraZeneca over an alleged breach of its vaccine supply contract. The move comes as the EU ordered 300 million doses of AstraZeneca's vaccine to be delivered by the end of June, with an option to purchase an additional 100 million. However, shipments repeatedly fell short, sparking a months-long dispute. The European Commission filed the lawsuit in Brussels last Friday, with the initial hearing set for Wednesday. AstraZeneca denies breaching its contract and said it regrets the European Commission's decision. India continues to set new daily COVID-19 highs, reporting over 350,000 new cases Monday, marking the world's highest daily caseload for the fifth straight day. Many countries are now banning flights from India, but support is also pouring in from different parts of the world. Lee Seung-jae reports.
India reported 352,991 new COVID-19 cases on Monday, marking the world's highest daily caseload for the fifth day in a row. The country also reported 2,812 additional deaths as medical facilities have been running out of oxygen and ICU beds, with patients left outside hospitals waiting for assistance. In particular, New Delhi has seen a positivity rate of over 30% for the past week, as it extended its lockdown for another week until May 3rd. The measures mean essential workers will be able to travel, but only if they show their IDs. Those working in markets or food-related stores will be allowed to apply for a pass. Amid the surge, Italy, Germany, the Maldives, and Bangladesh have banned flights from India. Germany has allowed its citizens to return from India, but they will be required to be tested before departure and will have to enter 2-week quarantine upon arrival. Italy has suspended entry to all foreign travelers who have been in India over the past 2 weeks. Many countries have pledged to send urgent medical aid to India, including the UK, Germany, and the United States. The WHO on Monday said it was rushing to help India deal with its medical supply shortage.
Many countries are still experiencing intense transmission, and the situation in India is beyond heartbreaking. WHO is doing everything we can, providing critical equipment and supplies, including thousands of oxygen concentrators, prefabricated mobile field hospitals, and laboratory supplies.
U.S. President Joe Biden and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke on the phone on Monday. Officials say Biden assured Modi that Washington would provide all assistance, including urgently sending necessary medical life-saving supplies and equipment. India's government has come under fire from its citizens for its handling of the outbreak, with people posting pleas on social media for supplies from state and federal officials. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Now, shifting focus, some welcoming figures for South Korea's economy. The country in the first 3 months of 2021 posted outstanding economic growth, recovering back to its pre-pandemic level 1 quarter earlier than previously expected. For more, we have our Kim Seung-min on the line for us. Seung-min, walk us through the numbers.
Morgan, the Bank of Korea said this morning that South Korea's first quarter GDP growth was up 1.6% from the previous quarter. Beating the market consensus of around 1% growth for Q1 this year, the country has recovered back to its pre-pandemic level, and it has managed this 1 quarter earlier than previously forecast. The figure also marks the first straight quarter of GDP growth. In fact, excluding China and India, South Korea's recovery showed the fastest pace out of the world's largest economies, growing faster than the U.S. and Canada. On year, first quarter real GDP expanded 1.8%. The growth came from all sectors, from private consumption to exports and investment. Exports, which account for around half of the country's GDP, were up 1.9%, backed by the strong performance of the automobile and mobile industries. Private consumption edged up 1.1%. Facility investment were 6.6%, based on increases in machinery and transportation equipment.
So, Seung-min, it seems like the country's economy is showing signs of recovery. So with these figures, what's the latest forecast for the economy for the rest of the year?
Well, considering the current recovery trend, the central bank expects the growth to be bigger in 2021 than the previously forecast 3.2%. The improvement in the global economy, largely accelerated by the U.S. recovery, has had a positive impact on the South Korean economy. Exports during the first 20 days in April, which increased by almost 50%, further boost expectations. To further consolidate this current trend, the government has pledged for strong support, including the fast release of the supplementary budget and a nationwide sales event. More detailed economic plans for the second half of the year are expected to come in June. That's all I have for now, but I'll be back with more updates. Back to you, Mugan.
Thank you for that report, Seung-min. Now, the Japanese government has repeated its false claim on South Korea's easternmost Dokdo Islets in its latest diplomatic bluebook released this morning. Regarding the issue of compensating Korean victims of wartime sexual enslavement and forced labor, the paper reiterated Japan's earlier stance that responsibility falls on the Korean government. A briefing on the book was given at a cabinet meeting presided over by Japanese Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga. South Korea's unification ministry has come up with a way for the two Koreas to meet remotely despite the pandemic. In accordance with the plan, the ministry has set up a video conference room with 6 HD cameras and 4 large monitors at a cost of over $360,000. It also successfully carried out a simulation Monday by connecting with unification ministry staff located at the office of the Inter-Korean Dialogue as well as the Inter-Korean Peace House in Panmunjom. Actress Youn Yuh-jung has become the first South Korean to win an Oscar for an acting role. Her big win was announced on Sunday local time at the Academy Awards in Los Angeles. Youn won for her role as the grandmother in last year's hit film Minari. Kim Hyun-sung has the story.
South Korean actress Youn Yuh-jung on Sunday evening Eastern Standard Time won this year's Oscar for Best Supporting Actress for her role in the film Minari. Not only is she the first Korean actress to bag an Oscar, but also only the second Asian actress to do so in the almost century-long history of the Academy Awards.
I'd like to thank to my two boys who made me go out and work. So, beloved son, all and all, this is the result because mommy worked so hard.
She emphasized in her acceptance speech and her backstage interview that she didn't believe in competition.
I don't believe in competition. How can I win win over Glenn Close? I've been watching her so many performances. So this is just all the nominees, 5 nominees. We are the winner for the different movie, we play the different role.
In the interviews following her triumph, Youn Yuh-jung talked about diversity and how she hated how some people divide up others based on race, saying we are all equal human beings with the same warm heart. She said the Academy wall has been too high for Asian people, even higher than, quote, Trump's wall. She also toned down the importance people place on the Academy Awards.
People always emphasize first place, the best. Why don't we ditch all that and just all be valuable together and live together? I don't know if this is my best moment. The Academy isn't everything.
She also didn't miss the opportunity to quip at Brad Pitt.
Actually, Brad Pitt is our movie's producer. Americans have a way of talking fancy. I told him to use a little more money next time, and he cleverly talked his way out of it. He said he will spend a little more, but not a lot.
But most of her words were spent praising the movie's script and director. She said that when she first met the movie script, she could feel how innocent and authentic it was, and that really touched her in ways she wasn't used to feeling. Kim Hyun-sung, Arirang News.
Youn Yuh-jung's Oscar success is a cause for celebration here in South Korea. Taking to social media on Monday, President Moon Jae-in said the actress has written a new chapter in Korean film history. He said her accomplishment provides some consolidation to the Korean people fatigued by the pandemic. He also said her win boosted South Korea's pride in its culture and arts. The U.S. Embassy in Seoul also tweeted congratulations to the actress. ASEAN member states met over the weekend and reached an agreement to stop violence and resolve the crisis in Myanmar, but the country's military continues to exert brutal force against the civilians. Pro-democracy activists have slammed the ASEAN junta agreement, saying nothing has changed since the summit. Jaein with more.
The military's brutal crackdown against civilians continues even after the leaders of ASEAN reached consensus with Myanmar's military leader over the ending of violence in the country. Leaders in Southeast Asia met last Saturday with Myanmar's military general Min Aung Hlaing and discussed an immediate end to violence in the wake of the February coup. However, even on the day of the summit, protesters were shot and killed in Mandalay and Naypyidaw. Citizens took to Twitter saying that the junta shot everyone they saw while the world's media was giving attention to the military chief attending the ASEAN summit. Arrests and shootings by the military continued throughout the weekend. A man was also shot 2 days after the summit. Pro-democracy activists have slammed the ASEAN junta agreement for its inability to reflect the voice of Myanmar citizens. The agreement has also been criticized for omitting the release of political prisoners, including the detained civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi, and also for lacking a specific timeline for halting the turmoil. The Assistance Association for Political Prisoners also raised questions on the effectiveness of the recent summit, saying that nothing has changed after the conference. A small crowd took to the streets on Sunday to denounce the consensus reached by the two sides, and many have vowed to continue protests until the military steps down. According to the AAPP, a total of 753 people have been killed by the junta as of Monday, with nearly 3,500 people arrested. Jaein, Arirang News.
Talks to breathe fresh life into Iran's nuclear deal that the U.S. left in 2019 are to resume on Tuesday in Vienna. There will be no direct communication between the U.S. and Iran, but other signatories under the chairmanship of the EU will continue helping the two countries return to compliance. The remaining parties resumed the talks earlier this month and have been discussing ways to lift the economic sanctions and Iran's uranium enrichment program.
Good morning. Today we'll have the opposite weather conditions to what we've had lately. Cloudy with spotty rain in the capital region. While Jeju and the south coast will start to see rain from this afternoon before spreading to western parts of the country tonight. But the amount will be little, so it won't help much to relieve the dryness in the air as dry alerts remain in place for most parts of the country. Air quality will be normal to good nationwide today, but looks to be dusty tomorrow. Temperature-wise, it's another day with wide gaps in ratings, and especially those in Daegu will notice wide gaps of more than 10 degrees by the afternoon, with an expected high of 22 degrees Celsius. And most other regions will also see highs in the upper teens to low 20s by the afternoon. Well, wet and cloudy conditions to wrap up the last week of April with the temperature roller coaster to continue. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the weather conditions around the world.
And that will do it for us at this hour on Arirang News. We'll be back at noon Korea time, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching and goodbye.